All right, I think we are live. Hi, everyone. It is Thursday at noon. Actually, I just went live a minute early. Look at that. I hope you are all having an awesome week. It's like really sunny where we are, although my twins were supposed to have one of their birthday parties today, and we just canceled it to tomorrow because it's supposed to start pouring like within the hour. So, but it's so sunny and nice out right now. I hope you enjoyed your morning, did something fun. All right, we are going to be talking today about predictive models, which some of you are probably like, no clue what that is, and some of you maybe have experience with it, or you have an accountant that does predictive modeling for you, but you'd like to maybe incorporate it yourself in your business in ways that it can be helpful. So what we're going to talk about today, we're going to briefly discuss all the types of predictive modeling, but then really what we're going to do is we're going to specifically focus on one that is maybe most popularly used for small businesses because it helps with decision making, and it also, you can do it as a beginner to predictive modeling. So it's not like, it's not as complex as some of the other models, and it's not overwhelming in any way. Oops. I just disconnected something. I move and something disconnects. Don't you love it? Okay, awesome. So we are going to hop in 1 second. We're going to be using the whiteboard again today because once we get into one specific predictive model type that I want to show you, we're going to do some together so that you have an idea of how to actually apply this to your business or your business decisions. All right, so if that sounds good, let me know in the comments. If you're watching this live, will you drop a heart in the comments? If you're watching a replay, drop a star in there. I like to know like who's watching live, and any colors that you wish. All right, so it's really important to use predictive models when you have a business because what it's doing is it's ensuring that you're making sound business decisions. And there are always going to be unknowns that arise. However, you can make sure that you are getting as close to your desired outcome or your desired goal when you use predictive modeling. It's probably often something we do, in our brain when it comes to our personal life. We use predictive modeling just naturally in our brain, but when it comes to business decisions, it's too much to hold in your brain. So we really need to utilize models to get it down on paper, down on the computer, to help guide the paths that we take. Okay, so I have some notes here, so I want to make sure that I get through everything. So as I said, they can be very complex. Okay, predictive models can be very complex. I'm going to tell you about all of them, but we're going to specifically focus on one that's really good if you're a newbie to predictive modeling. Even if you're not, it can be helpful. All right, and if you're interested in learning more of the details about some of the models that are more complex that we'll just briefly discuss, or if you want to have any of these models really tailored to your business or a specific business decision that you have to make or is coming up for you, then reach out to me. I'll drop in the comments, actually maybe I'll drop it right now. I'll drop the link for if you want to just have a quick 30-minute chat free, and we can talk about how to apply these specific models to your business or to your business decision. Let me just put that in there. Apparently I can't walk and chew gum today, so let me just paste it in there. Okay, so that's just to my scheduler. So it just goes to the free discovery call link, and you can schedule a chat, and we can talk specifically about the decision that you have to make or your business and how to apply various models, predictive models. Okay? All right, awesome. So in the most basic sense, predictive modeling is a way for you to develop those sound decisions for your future, right? For future events. The more complex models analyze patterns or observe trends, and they use a significant amount of data. And then what it does is it determines specific conditions that will make it most likely for an outcome to happen. So that's the gist of predictive models, how they work, what they're designed to do. But there are models that can be used without massive amounts of data. So I don't want you to shy away from it. If you're starting out, or even if you're not starting out, but data collection hasn't been your jam, that's fine. Okay, we're not all like number nerds like me. It's totally no problem. So there are other techniques. So in general, the main models that you will see in regards to business. There's also more like financial specific models, but the main modeling techniques for predicting business decisions or business outcomes are forecast models, classification models, clustering models, outlier models, and then something called time series models. We're going to, for the purposes of today's live, focus on classification models today. They tend to be the most used for small businesses because it helps you to make a decisive decision, to take decisive action. I'm just going to move that down a little bit. Take decisive action on something, a question or a path that you need to take in your business. So they are very popular in a wide variety of industries using classification models for that reason. Okay, they're really great to answer like a yes/no question or should I or shouldn't I question. So for instance, should I add a product or service right now to my offerings? Something like that. Using predictive models, specifically classification models, are really helpful for that type of question or that type of crossroad that you may come to as a business owner. So classification models are really sorted into two categories in the way that they analyze the decision or create possible outcomes or show you the path to possible outcomes. One is called decision trees, and we're going to be doing that one today. That's the one that we're really going to hone in on, the decision tree. It really replicates the process of starting with a simple question or idea, like I said before, and then exploring all the different paths you could take or courses of action and things that would come up along the way. And that's why it's called decision trees. It's like a branching process, right? Just like a branch, could be straight right to the leaf or leaves, or it could be, split and split again and split in all these ways. So we'll talk about how decision trees are helpful and how to use them with specific examples. And then there's something called neural networks. Neural networks. So neural, I want you to think like neurons in your brain, right? So this is, it's modeled after the human brain. And it's really helpful to like cluster information for individuals. So this is something that would be helpful, for instance, if you were like a retail provider or like a retail site, and based on past purchases, you can create a neural network of actions that customer will take. So you're predicting based on past actions, the future actions that customer or client will take. And that's called a neural network. Also very helpful, not as much for making overall financial decisions for your business, but more, it helps you keep up with trends or notice if you should shift something based on interests of that individual client. So that's called neural networks. Again, a type of classification model, but not one that we're going to really get too into today. So we're going to get into decision trees. You ready? If you're ready, drop like a show me the tree in the comments. All right. If any of you recall, you better recall, because I'm a former middle school, high school math teacher, so you better recall, when you studied probability, you would have like stem and leaf plotting or like tree models. So it's really, really similar. So if you paid attention back then, if you liked them back then, this might come naturally to you. Also, don't get caught up in the like, oh my gosh, I'm not good at math, any of that. Because first of all, that's a limiting belief that you're telling yourself, which is probably a lie if we break down what your actual identity is. Also, this is a very visual model. So if you tend to think of yourself as more visual spatial and not so much, like numbers being your strength, well, this is very visual. So don't panic. I just bring up probability because that's where you might be thinking like, I feel like I've seen this decision tree thing before, and you're probably thinking of a probability model when you're thinking of that, which is very similar. So what we're going to do first is we'll start with a random personal life question, right? To kind of nail down the model so you feel really good with using it, because it's always a little bit easier to understand a concept when you apply it to something that is easier, right? And then you take it to the more complex concept, so or more complex level. So then we will do specifically a business specific question and how you would use the same model. So before I get started, I want to say with decision trees, there's some vocabulary, okay, nothing major, but you might hear me say like a decision node. And what that really is that's like kind of your starting point. It's either the condition that you have or the choice that you have to make. I'm going to be calling branches, right? Just like a tree. And those are just the alternative paths that you could take regarding that decision or that condition. And then you'll also hear me saying the leaves, the leaves. I don't know why I said leaves. Leaves, leaf, singular. And those are the outcomes, the results of going through the various paths, okay? So nothing too crazy. I'm sure you all know what a tree looks like. Now, when you do decision trees, you can either do them vertically or horizontally. It's very much personal choice. It's funny, I like to do them vertically myself because, I don't know, it's not really like because a tree is vertical because you're going down. So it's not really because of that. But it just seems more like a predictive model to me. However, I do think it's beneficial when people do them horizontally, because then what you can do is you can take each path or branch leading to its leaf or outcome, and right next to it, you can kind of nicely summarize, you know, if I make this decision, what my outcome will be. So, you know, different strokes for different folks. You can do vertical or horizontal. For the first one I'm going to show you, I'll do vertical, and then the next one I'll do horizontal. So you get to see a little bit of both. So, as I said, we're going to first, whenever you learn a new concept, it's helpful to learn it with something that's easy, right? And that maybe mentally you already can make those connections so that you're understanding how the layout of the model works. So for the first one, I'm going to do something like crazy simple, okay? Like crazy simple. And I like to, it's up to you, I like to like box, you know, my different spots. But I'm going to do something, I'm going to say, should I buy shampoo? Okay? I told you, simple. So, should I buy shampoo? And I don't mean like in a really like big, like, you know, what is the meaning of life way? Like, yes, we shall use shampoo, of course. But should I buy shampoo like today? Whatever. Okay. So this is what we would call, that is the decision node, okay? Because that is the condition or the choice that we're trying to figure out. Now we're going to branch off of this. So, the first question I may ask myself is, am I out of shampoo? Right? If I have shampoo, I don't need to buy any. So, am I out? Okay? And actually, I shouldn't have done it that way. See, this happens sometimes when you make your decision tree, because I should have instead, watch this. You can write it on the branch itself, but I don't like to do that. So, am I out? Now I should branch it. So it's either a yes or a no, right? Are you out? So you have a yes, I'm out, or a no, I'm not out, okay? And again, I like to box all these. You don't have to. It just helps me. It makes it more clear. Okay, so if you're not out, what are you going to do? Are you going to go to the store and get any? No. So that's like pretty simple. So this is like your outcome. So don't go to the store or don't buy any, right? Don't go to the store. Don't buy any. Plain and simple. It's kind of the only outcome there. Okay? If you are out, you may ask yourself another question. Okay? So let's ask another question. Let's say, what would get in the way of, is it raining outside? And then it's either raining or it's not, right? So yes or no. Or it could be like today where it's not raining right now, but you think it's going to rain and you cancel a birthday party and then now watch it be like beautiful weather. I digress. Okay, so is it raining, yes or no? So now, if it's raining, your outcome may be you could either like buy it on Amazon Prime like me, or just really you're not going to the store, right? So you could say like, okay, buy it on Prime or store tomorrow, right? Maybe that's your outcome. And I'm probably off the screen at this point, so apologies. So that is your leaf, because that is the end. I am off the screen a little bit. So that is the end, so that is the outcome, okay? And if it's no, it's not raining, well, it's probably go to the store today, right? You could still order it on Prime, but the thing is, like, I'm out of shampoo right now, and we're going to assume that you need to use it today. So go to store. Okay, as I said, super basic, right? I wanted to do something that you actually mentally go through this decision making process in your brain when things happen in life. It just naturally comes to us. This is what our brain does. It goes through all of this. I'm out of shampoo, and it goes through all of this almost in an instant, right? Am I out? Yes or no? Is it raining? Yes or no? So I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that. But just to show you that this is, remember, the decision node. Then we have all these branches, right? All the different paths that we could take, or the different alternatives, right, that we could take. And then we have the leaves. Now, those are the very bottom ones. So I'm going to like outline those in blue. It's not all of them. Those are the leaves. So those are the outcomes, okay? So question, how many paths have I shown right here? How many paths, or how many possible, yeah, I can't think of another word for paths. How many possible, like, decision, I guess, decision events in a row can I make? Well, I can't think of another word for paths. I need another coffee. So how many? Write it in the comments, okay? And don't be upset if you say 2. You're wrong, but don't be upset about it, because that's what most people would think, okay? So you would think, all right, 2, 1, 2. But there are actually 3 paths here, right? You could go this pathway that ends at this one, or this one. So the amount of leaves that you have at the end are the amount of possible courses that you could take. That's kind of a synonym. Courses that you could take in that decision-making process. You have 3 possible outcomes here, okay? And again, the reason I'm breaking this down with a really simple example that we go through mentally is just to explain, how to kind of analyze it after. All right, and now we're going to go through an example that would be more business specific, but I just wanted to get the model out there so you can see it and it really makes sense, okay? All right, so you could have done differently. Instead of am I out, it could have been is my hair dirty, right? Like, there's different ways to set these up. It's whatever your decision is. Okay, so let's do one that's business specific. All right, let me think of one that, now there's all different possible things that you could ask yourself. So I'm going to think of, how about, which new supplier should I use? Okay, so like right now, inflation's crazy. We have some issues with, getting our supplies. So I think a lot of you out there that use suppliers might be thinking to yourself, do I need to change suppliers? Or should I at least, play with the idea of switching suppliers? So this is a perfect example of how or when you could use a decision tree. Choices, thank you. Yeah, choices. But I'm trying to think of like the whole choice strand, like the path. But you're right, it's a string of choices. Correct. Love it. Thanks, Dan. You're the best. You're my thesaurus today, okay? Thank you, Dan. Awesome. Okay, so let's think of one for which new supplier should I use, okay? So which new supplier? Now, you could do a different one that's, should I switch suppliers? And that's a different question, okay? So let's say that you've already decided you're going to switch and now you're figuring out which new one, okay? Because that is a different question that you could also do a decision tree for. But you can't, this is for a simple, these are for what we would call a simple question, not like a compound question, okay? You could set up 2 different decision trees for that, which would be fine. So which new supplier should I use? Okay, and I'm just going to abbreviate because I'm lazy and I think I might run out of space. Oh, I promised I was going to do this one horizontally. I lied. All right, I'm doing this one vertically too, but I will show you like just the bare bones structure if you were to do this horizontally as well. Okay, so which supplier should I use? And let's say that you have 3 suppliers that you are, okay, why am I making my branches so long? I'm going to run out of space. Short branches. 3 suppliers that you're thinking of. So we're just going to call them supplier A. Okay. You would have the specific supplier's name, supplier B. And this would require a little research before the decision tree. So you've narrowed it down to 3 suppliers. You've already looked at a lot of the factors that we're going to be placing on here. And I definitely should have done this one horizontal because I'm going to have a lot of branches and I'm going to run out of space, but I'll give you the basic idea. Okay, so then within each of these, okay, there are going to be different factors. So one thing could be, is it cost effective? So now you're going to start to look at like the pro and cons of each one. So is it cost effective? Let's do that one first because that's my favorite. Okay, so cost effective. And then you're going to have a yes. I told you I'm going to run out of room. I'm going to start to write small. I apologize. A yes and a no. So cost effective, yes or no. And you're going to do this for each one, okay? I might kind of abbreviate just to save space and not make it look crazy overwhelming to the eyes here. But yes, no. And you know what I'll do after this is I'll write it on a piece of paper and I'll post it on the Facebook group so that you can see what it looks like more fully and not super messy. Okay, yes, no. Now, if it's not cost effective, that's probably going to be the end of that branch there, right? Because you probably don't want to choose that one. Okay, so the next thing, but if it's a yes, now you might want to ask yourself a different question. So under each of these yeses, we're going to ask ourselves something else. So it depends what's important to you. So I know for a lot of people what's important is that it be a local business. A lot of people want to support a local business. Okay, so if that's something important to you, you might now ask yourself, is this a local business? Right? Is this a local biz? Yes or no? Whoop, whoop. Oh my gosh. Use the eraser. Don't use your hand. Yes or no. Okay? And you're going to do that for every single one. So local biz, yes, no. And again, I'm abbreviating here just to save us some time. And I like to box everything. You might think I overbox. Maybe I overbox. And I like to color code. You know, you can get crazy with it. Yes, no. And then down here, you're going to do it again. Is it a local business? Again, if this is something important to you, everyone's decision tree is going to look different. And that's why we do it, right? That's why you do it, because it's specific to your business. If it wasn't, then you wouldn't necessarily need a decision tree. You'd maybe just be able to, look up the answer to that question. Okay, awesome. So we've looked at those two things. So we've looked at, is it cost effective? Is it a local business? So you might decide if it's not a local business, you're done there. Okay, you might decide that. You know what I should have done is I should have boxed the various categories or the various decision nodes in different colors to help visually. This may be making it worse. I don't know. Tell me. If this is making it worse, tell me. Definitely tell me. Okay, so now let's say it's a local business. All right. So your next question might be things like, is the contract sound? Or do I agree with the contract? Or are they will they make adjustments to the contract to suit, whatever you want? So your next question could be about the contract. Okay? And I'm not going to, I think we kind of get the idea here, so I'm not going to go through all of it. And then your next question could be, do they have strong references? Yes or no? So ultimately what you're going to end up with is you're going to end up with all the different paths, right? So if I take supplier A, they're going to be cost effective, and they're cost effective, yes, then I should end up, are they a local business? Yes, and you're going to go through and you can either highlight the answers, right? And then ultimately find your different paths, your different decisions. And that will make it more clear to you which supplier you should choose or narrow it down to two of them, okay? And if not, if they all fall under these categories, then these aren't things that you should be putting in the decision tree. If you know already they're all cost effective, they're all local businesses, they all have a sound contract, well then you want to look at other things. For instance, it could be, what will my return on investment be if I use this supplier? Or will there be shipping charges? Will there be, how long is their contract last? Or when when can they change the prices? Or do they have all the items in stock that I want, or is it, or do you have to kind of change around the supplies that you want? So all different questions you can put on there. And what this really does is it gives you a visual, and it also forces you to ask yourself these questions. Because the first one I did, do I need shampoo? That's the type of one where you're doing that in your mind. Your mind can hold on to all of that information. But a lot of these types of models, it's too much for your mind to hold on to, or it's too much for it to hold on to effectively, okay? So it's just a lot better to use a model and write it down. And then the other benefit is if you keep it, and let's say you go with supplier A, right? And let's say it ends up not working out for whatever reason. You go back to your model, you can adjust your model, you can see which other suppliers. So it really just gives you a nice way of not only documenting, but a nice visual representation of the best choices and what their outcomes are. All right, another example you could use it for business would be should I design a new product? And you might say you might break it out, the branches or the decision nodes might be the investment amount. And then ultimately maybe your predicted return on investment and the timeline it would take, things like that. Or should I enhance my existing one? That could be another one that you make a decision tree for. Should I enhance my existing product? So there are all sorts of questions you can ask yourself, or you could use this method to ask about your business. I'm just going back in my notes, making sure I didn't skip anything, because I can tend to talk quickly and miss things that are important. So I want to make sure I get to everything. So, and again, this is a simpler predictive model. There are more complex ones, but just, get your feet wet. Get your feet wet with this one and use it for a few decisions. You can use it for personal life decisions as well. And see how you like to design it, and what's more efficient or beneficial to you. I am going to show you, because I promised, that you can also do this horizontally. So you could also have, your decision node, and then it branches, right? And then it branches. So you can also do it horizontally. And the benefit of doing it horizontally, I would say, is that I like to kind of, once I get to all my leaves, so let's say these are your leaves. Okay, so if these were all of our leaves, ooh, where's that L? Then you can quickly kind of recap leaves. You can quickly recap right here on the side. So if I choose X, then Y will happen. And you can do that for each one. And I like that, because it's like, well, if I choose X, then Y, then your leaf. And you can leave out all those intermediate ones. And it's really just showing you, so you can just quickly look and say, like, okay, well, which decision is going to give me the outcome I want, okay? So horizontal is nice for that, for, I think, collecting the data or analyzing it. So that totally depends. So last thing, because I am kind of going long here, is I would be remiss if I don't mention that there are limitations to predictive modeling. There is no such thing as a crystal ball when it comes to business, for a variety of reasons, whether it be, external factors like politics or, economic impacts, or just, a pandemic, right? Like, things happen. And then there's also things that may come up in our lives that are not predicted or predictable necessarily. So there are limitations. There's no crystal ball. However, there are many benefits to using the factors that you do know and that are in your control to make sound decisions that ultimately will impact your business and impact your revenue, okay? So predictive modeling is definitely worth your while. It is a way of making deliberate decisions instead of making a decision and then later having to kind of like Monday morning quarterback yourself and be like, ooh, yeah, right? So it's a way of not completely predicting the outcome, but doing it in the best way available in that moment, all right? So I hope that helped you to at least get you excited about using predictive models, but also to explain one that I think is really good for beginners and is helpful in both business decisions and in personal life decisions as well. So I want you to try it, okay? You get some homework. You get some, action items here. I want you to try it for your business or for your personal life. You could say, maybe you're debating, should I increase prices, right, on a specific item? Make a decision tree for that. Should I write and sell a book? Make a decision tree for that. Should I create a podcast, right? This is something I ask myself. Should I create a podcast? Make a decision tree for that. Should I join networking group X? Make a decision for that. Should I invest in Y? Make a decision tree for that. So there are so many things that you can use it for. And it's quick and it's easy, okay? So that is all for today, guys. I hope that was helpful. I hope it gave you a good starting point if you've never used predictive models, or even if you have, or even if you have someone that does it for you, whether that be an accountant or another expert, kind of give you the confidence that you can use it in either with decision trees or in different ways. So that was fun. I love that. Okay, sorry, I just kind of like nerded out at the end there. But try to add it to your entrepreneur toolkit. At the end of the day, as an entrepreneur, there are so many different ways to do things, and this is just another tool now in your toolkit. Predictive models using decision trees. It will help you make better decisions and then ultimately impact your revenue. Okay, and then you also feel more confident in that decision because of the decision tree. And we've talked about this before, but confidence or your beliefs are again the building piece, because our beliefs lead to our actions, which lead to the outcomes. So feeling confident in the decision that you make using a decision tree or some form of predictive models also impacts your beliefs, which will, impact the outcome. So it's all related. It's all connected, which is really cool, I think. All right, awesome. So if you want to learn more about this predictive model or the other ones that are a little bit more complex, and you want me to kind of show you how to, specifically tailor it to your business or to your questions that you're currently wondering about, or if you just want help with, all the other things I do, whether it be organizing your finances, working on your money mindset, increasing your prices, or looking at your pricing sheet in general, all those other things, reach out. I already dropped in the comments the link to my calendar to schedule a totally free chat for, about 30 minutes. And I'd love to talk to you about it. All right? Awesome. I hope you're making a model right now. I hope you're so into it that you have trees drawn all over your notes. Decision trees, of course. All right, awesome. Have a great rest of your day. It's still not raining here, and I canceled a birthday party and changed it to tomorrow for my twins. Not that I want rain, because you guys might have plans too. But if I just canceled and moved a birthday party and it doesn't rain, it continues to be beautiful outside. All right, I digress. So have an awesome afternoon, and I'll see you next Thursday. I'll do a live too. All right, bye.